Welcome to the Matt Bernier Show.
What's going on? Welcome in the Matt Bernier Show here on DRFTV, live.drf.com, livestream.com, Twitter and Facebook as far as the daily racing form pages are concerned. Today is Friday, July the 14th, 2017. You can follow me on Twitter at Bernier_Matt. If you check it out, podcast, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, video. .drf.com. This is sort of the calm before the storm, if you will. This is closing weekend at Belmont Park. This is closing weekend at Los Alamitos Racecourse, and it gets us ready for next week, where I believe Wednesday or Thursday is opening day down at Del Mar. I believe Monday night there will be a webinar that myself and Jay Privman will be joining Peter Thomas Fornital. You can check that out. That's tentative schedule, I think 8 o'clock. That's the plan there. And then Friday is going to be opening day up at the Spa Saratoga Racecourse. So I figured this was a good sort of week anyway to discuss something else that's coming up here in the not too distant future, and that's Equestricon. Now, the racing forum is happy to be partners with the folks at Equestricon, and for those of you that don't know, it is a big equine convention, and there's going to be all sorts of different things going on. So I figured that this was as good a time as any, because we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. It is Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, August the 13th through the 15th, up in Saratoga Springs. And about 4 weeks. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, it's probably time to get them now. And I figured, again, no better time than now than maybe to dive in and talk to our good friend Dan Tordjman. You know him from Danonymous Racing. You know him from America's Best Racing. You know him from all over the place if you've been to any of the racetracks, basically anywhere in the country. Dan is one of the best ambassadors that we have in the game. He pushes all of the right things. He's one of the friendliest, nicest guys that you'll ever meet. He's based here in the city. We will be talking to him momentarily on the phone after we come back from a quick break. But again, I just kind of figured this was something that needed to be addressed, because I haven't really talked about it much on this show, and I figured if we get it out now, maybe there's still a little bit of time for those of you that, if you already have your tickets, good on you. We'll see you up there. If you don't have your tickets yet, this at least gives you a few weeks, if you will, to go through and make sure that you've got to get what you need to get situated, whether it's lodging, whether it's tickets, whether it's X, Y, and Z. But keep in mind, too, this whole thing is revolving around not just the game, but Saratoga in general. So you're going to get up there the first day, Sunday. There's going to be seminars. There's going to be all sorts of different things going on. And then you got a day at the races as well. Same goes for Monday. Tuesday, a dark day, but by that point, everyone is going to probably be on the downswing a little bit, but it is something that I think everyone and their brother should consider. If you haven't already, you can go to equestricon.com and find out all of the other sort of details. But again, that's why I figured we'll bring Dan in here momentarily and kind of have him go over some of the things, the genesis of this entire idea. He, along with co-founders Catherine Sharp and Justin Nicholson, and kind of just give the overall feel and the rundown of what to expect leading into the inaugural Equestricon convention up Saratoga Springs. We do have some racing that we'll touch on later on. Only going to go over 2 races as far as previews are concerned, both of them down at Delaware. One of them, no surprise, the Delaware Handicap. We'll talk about Songbird a little bit, and then we'll also talk about the Kent. That's going to be a graded stakes race for the 3-year-old boys on the turf. And then we'll also go back and take a look and see 3 of the races that we went over last weekend, Stars and Stripes Festival down at Belmont Park. We'll see how we did for better or for worse in the Dwyer, the Belmont Oaks, and the Belmont Derby. We'll also just talk a little bit about those races in general and what they may mean going forward. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Matt Bernier Show. Again, live.drf.com, livestream.com, Twitter and Facebook for the racing form pages. When we come back, we will bring in Dan Tordjman, one of the co-founders of Equestricon and a friend of this show and just horse racing in general. So stay with us. Dan's up next.
Sensational! California Chrome. Away to the Kentucky Derby. California Chrome wins impressively.
He's gone into overdrive. California Chrome wins the Dubai World Cup.
One of the greatest performances you'll ever see.
Chrome turns to gold.
Say goodbye to your inner caveman. If you're making caveman bets on pick sixes, you could be leaving money on the table. DRF Bet's ticket maker helps you build more profitable exotic bets and place them with one click. Raise your game with DRF Bets Ticket Maker. Be a samurai with your ROI. DRF Bets Ticket Maker helps you cut out unprofitable exotic bets before they happen and be the master of profits. Raise your game with DRF Bets Ticket Maker, the exotic wagering app.
Well, the amazing thing about our work was just how similar he is to Uncle Mo. I mean, right away of all of Rapoli's babies, he stood out as the most advanced, the most precocious, and the most talented, and that was exactly the same thing we'd seen a few years before with Uncle Mo.
Outwork wins it for John Velasquez.
To be able to win a Grade 1 like the Wood Memorial in only his 4th lifetime start was very impressive.
It is Outwork in front.
.1206 on the East Coast, 9:06 on the West Coast. This is the Matt Bernier Show on DRFTV, live.drf.com, livestream.com, the Racing Forum's Twitter and Facebook pages. It's a privilege to have my friend Dan Tordjman join us on the phone. Dan is one of the co-founders of Equestricon, and that's kind of what this show today is going to be mostly revolving around. Equestricon, we've got about 4 weeks until things kick off August 13th. That's a Sunday up at Saratoga Springs, and let's bring him in. Dan, how's it going, my friend?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. 31 days and a couple of hours, to be precise. Not that anyone's counting.
Dan, those of you who are familiar, he's been on this show in the past, but he also was the originator of DanonymousRacing.com. He's one of the best ambassadors we have in the game just as a whole, and he went ahead along with Catherine Sharp and Justin Nicholson, and they co-founded this event, the Equestricon convention up at Saratoga. Let's start off just with the most basic question. Why did you guys go down this route and create this event?
Yeah, you know, it's a question we get pretty frequently. Justin and Catherine are owners and breeders, and they actually launched a syndicate themselves, a racing partnership, about 6 years ago with the intention of bringing new owners into the sport of horse racing. Of course, myself, working with America's Best Racing, I bring a lot of fans out to the track. I'm very involved with fan development, fan education, especially around handicapping, kind of showing people how to read programs. And so for each of us, I think, getting people into the game, getting them closer to the sport, and really the whole concept of education and really just bringing people, giving them opportunities to have experiences with the sport that kind of leave lasting impressions and ensure that they remain dedicated fans, bettors, potentially owners. Those are all things that were important to us. So we just started, spitballing, I think, around this idea of a convention. Like we've seen Comic-Con, other industries have conventions. So why shouldn't we have a convention? As the horse racing industry, we've got so many great personalities in the sport. We've got so many great handicappers. We've got so many great, the horses themselves, the stories surrounding them. It's one of these industries that there's so much fandom around. There's so much to get caught up in and to learn about and to engage with. So we said, let's maybe take a shot at putting a convention together. And it's really kind of snowballed into this massive event. We've got 80 plus panels, workshops, seminars, over 3 days at Saratoga Springs, August 13th through 15th.
I think one of my favorite things about this, talking to Dan Tordjman, one of the co-founders of Equestricon, one of my favorite things about this is the idea that for such a fan-oriented sport, that this is going to kind of break down that wall where, right or wrong, in so many other industries, it may be difficult to get in touch with some of the people that are players in the industry, whether it's owners or trainers or anybody else. And that's kind of what it feels like this event is trying to do, trying to break down that wall and kind of get access to some of the people that maybe the public may not have the opportunity to reach out to and kind of interact with.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. And for guys like us, people may not know this. We weren't, born into this sport, although there may be this perception that you have to be born into racing or you have to know somebody. Really, I've learned more and more as I've been in this sport full time, as it's something that I do now for a living, that there are more and more opportunities for people to get involved in racing, whether as a career or, whether they're interested in ownership or if they want to sort of, kind of become more hands-on in their handicapping or, kind of do that in a more serious way or do it professionally. there are ways to do all these things now. There are a lot of tools out there. So what we want to do is really create a forum within which those tools could be shared with people, and where those personalities who can help you take that next step, regardless of what your interest is in the sport. We want to put people in the same room with them. So we've got, to speak specifically to some of those things, and we've got a number of networking sessions that are set up, which I believe we've got you scheduled for one. The panels that we've got are all really kind of like engaging two-way conversations. So the audience has say. They get a chance to ask questions, of the panelists. They have an opportunity to participate. If you have a question about handicapping or betting, you can ask the question. You could ask guys like you. You could ask Jonathan Kinchin. You could ask Pete Fornatel. You could ask all these different people who have the know-how and who, are more than willing to share that knowledge and experience. So, we've kind of created that for panels on aftercare, on breeding, on ownership, on marketing, on media. And then we've got a lot of storytelling sessions when you get to meet guys like, Tom Durkin talking about his favorite race calls, or, legendary jockeys talking about their Triple Crown runs. It's those kinds of stories that we also want people to leave with, to really just kind of enrich the experience and kind of give them, kind of intensify their love and their passion for the sport, so they walk away with something, that they might not have come in with.
Now, I know a little bit of the background on this. There was an evening a long time ago that you and I went out, and you kind of broached this idea to me, saying, hey, you know what, this may be in the works. Just for folks that don't know, how long has this thing been in the works to get to where we are now?
It's been a good couple of years. I mean, we initially kind of, from inception of like just sort of the idea of Equestricon and doing a convention, to fully, kind of hashing out, what the event would look like. I think that took probably about a year. And, we were like, when do we go public with this? And finally, right about this time last year, it was sort of mid to late July, we went to Saratoga Springs, and we met with the people over at the Saratoga Springs City Center. And they just, the second we mentioned the idea to them, they were like, yes, please have this here. Saratoga Springs is the perfect destination for it. We want to host it. We want you to be in Saratoga. And the city has just been incredibly supportive ever since. The mayor of the city was there when we made our announcement. She's been, extremely supportive ever since. Again, the Bureau of the Convention Bureau has been incredible. And so everyone there has just been super supportive, and everything we hear, and we're excited to be there now as this meet is starting. Everyone there just super pumped for this event.
For those folks that still don't have tickets or are looking for more information on where to go for tickets, where should they go other than Equestricon.com? Is it pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it is pretty straightforward. I mean, basically, we've got 3 ticket tiers. You could find each of those packages and what's included in each package on Equestricon.com. Your general admission ticket is going to get you access to the convention Monday and Tuesday, August 14th and 15th, at the Saratoga Springs City Center. That includes some of the things that I mentioned, networking sessions, live music, opportunities to meet and engage with 80-plus exhibitors from all over the country, including a lot of farms that we've got coming up from Kentucky. You've got a favorite ownership group. We've got a bunch of syndicates and owners that are going to be in the house. So a chance to really meet and engage with a lot of those people. So that you get all that for $25. It's $12.50 a day. You also get access to a happy hour. There's racing trivia hosted by Tom Durkin. There's just so much. I mean, I could go on actually for about 20, 30 minutes just talking about what you get for $25. But, suffice it to say, so much value built into that ticket. And then we have additional tiers at $125 that include access to 24-plus panels, workshop seminars, again, dealing with everything from handicapping to some of the other subjects I mentioned earlier, owner breeding. So, yeah, go check out Equestricon.com and, kind of lays it all out there for you.
I know you're very, very busy, and one last sort of odd, but not odd question, but before we let you go, Dan Tordjman, what do these final 4 weeks look like for you leading up to it? And then once the convention kicks off, is it one of those where you just sit back and watch and let everything unfold, or is it still going to be chaotic for you?
I don't think it's going to be any sitting back. If you know me, I rarely sit still to begin with. But yeah, these next 4 weeks are going to be absolute insanity. The great thing about this event is that we've really been able to rally the support of a number of different partners, including the Daily Racing Forums, who's been super supportive. And, you know, we've got over 100 industry partners that are behind this effort, because really at the end of the day, it's an effort to bring fans and bettors into the fold, give them a voice, give them a chance to directly engage. So it's a win-win for the industry itself, because it broadens our fan base, and it lets those existing fans know that, you know, they're appreciated and that we want them to stick around. We want them to use our products. We want them to meet our personalities, so forth and so on. So, yeah, it's a lot of, between now and then, it's a lot of kind of, you know, making sure that all our partners are happy, that they have what they need, that they can set up properly, that they get their booth set up, that they can, you know, have all their questions answered. So, yeah, it'll be nonstop. I think August 16th will be a good day for me. But up through August 15th, I'll be running around like crazy.
Equestricon, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, August 13th, 14th, and 15th up at Saratoga Springs, New York. If you're into racing in general, if you're into horses in general, it's something you certainly should go and check out. You can go to equestricon.com, get all the info as far as tickets and whatnot are concerned. Dan Tordjman, one of the co-founders, along with Catherine Sharp, Justin Nicholson. Dan, thank you for giving us a little bit of time. And if I don't see you before then, I will see you up at Equestricon.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, and really encouraging everybody to come out. Appreciate the time, and we'll see everybody soon.
All right, man, sounds good. We're going to take a break here on the Matt Bernier Show. When we come back, we'll go back and see how we did last weekend as far as a couple races are concerned at Belmont Park, and then we'll also tee you up for a couple of graded stakes at Delaware Park coming up tomorrow afternoon. Stay with us, the Matt Bernier Show.
Coming up this summer, it's Spa Babies presented by WinStar Farm. Every Wednesday through Sunday during the Saratoga meeting, Nicole Russo and I will analyze the best 2-year-old races at the spa. We'll go beyond the past performances and discuss pedigree, trainer patterns, workouts, and more. It's Spa Babies presented by WinStar Farm every Wednesday through Sunday at video.drf.com.
Breeders' Cup Classic. Private Zone has run a 45 flat half mile and has opened up 2.5 lengths. Private Zone's got the lead close to home, and he's all by himself. Private Zone wins the Forgo. Texas Red, second best, and here is one talented colt named Speightster.
I would say Speightster is maybe one of the most exciting horses that I've trained. He was a grandson of Gone West. Another horse that I had trained named Elusive Quality from that line was a world record holder at Belmont Park. Speightster showed some of that same speed. When you'd ask him the question, you know, he could answer.
One talented colt named Speightster.
12:19 on the East, 9:19 the West, the Matt Bernier Show, DRFTV. Want to thank my buddy Dan Tordjman, again, one of the co-founders of Equestricon, for coming on and just talking a little bit about what to expect. And those of you that need tickets or need information on it, you want to just head on over to equestricon.com. It should be a very, very fun situation. Again, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, August 13th through the 15th up Saratoga Springs. And if you need any other reason to get out to the meet up at Saratoga, make sure it's around this time. If you're not in the area and you're planning some sort of a trip, if you're in the Mid-Atlantic, if you're on the West Coast, if you're down south and you're saying we're going to go to Saratoga, do it for these 3 days. Go up there and have some fun at the Equestricon convention as well. We'll all be there. Come on out and have some fun with all of us. Equestricon, August 13th through 15th. Let's dive into some racing, shall we? Let's start off with a review. We had 3 races that we went over on this show last weekend. It was Stars and Stripes Festival at Belmont Park, and there figured to be a lot of interesting races and interesting horses that were showcased in that spot. And let's start off. All three of the races I went over were 3-year-old races. I didn't want to dive into the Suburban. Thought the Shaman Ghost would be tough. He gets beat by Keen Ice. We had a couple other races in there as well, including the Belmont Sprint, but Mind Your Biscuits looked like he would be tough to deal with as well. So I only focused on the 3-year-old races. Let's start with the Dwyer. The big thing with the Dwyer was, are we going to see the real Practical Joke? Did he really want to go that far? They kept going on races like the Derby and the Bluegrass and X, Y, and Z going along with him. He finally got back to a one-turn mile. Larry Colmus down the lane.
Tail of Silence loops up on the outside. Practical Joke waits. Needs a spot to go. In behind the leaders. Now going to swing to the far outside. And now Tail of Silence is taking the lead. And here's Practical Joke unleashed on the far outside. Battalion Runner has given way. It's Practical Joke. Practical Joke has taken the lead. And Practical Joke moves away to win the Dwyer.
He was good. He was very, very good. He got a big buyer speed figure, got a big time form US rating, did Practical Joke. I think this is just the beginning of things bigger and better for this horse. Now, it sounds like he's going to go down to the Jersey Shore and run in the Haskell at Monmouth Park in a few weeks. Look, I don't love the idea, but I also don't hate it, and I understand why you want to take a shot. It's a 7-figure purse. There's a real chance that you're going to be the third choice in there. And if you get a situation where maybe the pace is hot early on, he's going to come from out of it and he can make his run, and maybe he's good enough. At the very least, you'd like to think that maybe he can get a piece. And then you have the built-in turn back, which I think is going to be ultimately what this horse wants. And again, we saw what he did in a one-turn mile. I think this is going to be the perfect built-in excuse to go with the turn back for the Alan Jerkins, which was formerly known as the King's Bishop up at Saratoga. And he's going to be an absolute bear in that race. I don't care who else shows up in there. He's going to be on the short list of contenders, if not the favorite in that spot. This is a very, very talented horse. I think there's a case to be made that he is every bit as talented, if not more so, than most of the other horses his generation. The problem is he doesn't want to go that far, I don't think. I think that's why we've seen those big, bold moves on the turn, and then he just flattens out. I think he's a very, very talented horse. I'm not going to be surprised at all if he goes on and does bigger and better things. I thought he was the most likely winner. He got the job done. My pick in my live long shot in the race, Giuseppe the Great, there was zero excuse. He was on the outside. He was just pressing the pace. He had every opportunity to go by Battalion Runner, and he couldn't even do that. He faded to run fourth. I thought it was a disappointing effort from Giuseppe the Great. But when you look at it from a figure standpoint, it was actually his career best number of a 96. So it wasn't a disaster. It was just a little bit disappointing for me. The Belmont Oaks, I thought going in, the most likely winner, as everybody and their brother thought, was Sister Charlie for Chad Brown, one of 3 in here because he ended up scratching 55. I thought my sort of live long shot in the horse that I liked was Beau Recall coming in from the West Coast. Again, Larry Colmus from the top.
Turning for home, and Grizzle has taken the lead here. It is now Grizzle in front. No Money Honey runs at her on the outside. Sister Charlie is in the center of the course. Still work to do for her. She's 3 lengths behind. Then Uni dashing through on the inside, and Daddy's Little Darling. New Money Honey has taken the lead here. Sister Charlie is second on the outside as they come down to the wire. The 2 of them will decide it, and it is going to be New Money Honey.
It's a Chad triple. 1, 2, 3. New Money Honey gets the job done. Beats Sister Charlie. Uni made a nice run. This was her first start here in North America as well. She got a really good ride. I think a ride that it hasn't gotten enough credit from Arad Ortiz on Uni. That was fantastic, I thought, up the inside. A couple different things in this spot. New Money Honey is a cool horse. She's a Breeders' Cup champion as a 2-year-old. She's come back, and I was a little bit concerned with that run at Keeneland because, frankly, she was terrible. But she's come back with 2 very good efforts, one of them in a wire-to-wire fashion in the Wonder again, and then this one sitting just off the pace, getting the jump on her uncoupled stablemates and just holding off Sister Charlie. There is a part of me in the back of my head that thinks that Sister Charlie is going to be the best horse in here because, keep in mind, Chad didn't really have this filly for any length of time. She showed up. She had only run 2.5, 3 weeks prior to that in the French Oaks. She came here. She had a tough outside post. There was speed, but it wasn't like some blistering early pace. I think this was a very, very good effort from Sister Charlie, and I'm of the opinion that going forward, she may be the one that you want out of that trio for Chad. Not to say that New Money Honey and Uni aren't going to be capable in other spots. Beau Recall, I don't know what the heck happened. She was mid-pack. She was in good position. On the backside, it seemed like she started to get outrun. Flavian Pratt started to push on her a little bit. And then she made this big wide move, and she finished with a little bit of interest. I mean, she was just kind of plodding along, but I don't know. Again, look, I've admitted in the past when I'm wrong. Maybe she's just not nearly as good as I thought she was, or I hoped she was going to be. But having said that, I still think there's going to be a race for her somewhere. Maybe I'm just, what's the definition of insanity? Doing something over and over and over again and hoping for a different result or expecting a different result. Maybe that's me right now with Bo Recall. I'm an unabashed fan of hers. Not a great effort finishing 6th. She split the field. And then the Belmont Derby. This was a race. I didn't give you any most likely winner or live long shot or anything like that because I thought this race could go 15 different ways. I thought Yoshida was the most interesting horse just because maybe we didn't know what the ceiling was going to be for that horse. He sat a beautiful trip throughout. Arklow sat a pretty good trip, all things considered. He ended up backing up badly. But all things considered, this was another big performance from Oscar Performance. And here's Larry with the call.
14.37. He's been there all the way, and they're into the stretch. Oscar Performance set down with a 2.5 length lead, called to the bar, and Yoshida trying to chase him home, but Oscar Performance has opened up 3. Called to the bar is second, and then comes Yoshida to the outside, and Homesman down the center of the course, followed by Good Samaritan. Oscar Performance goes all the way in the Belmont Derby Invitational.
You give a good horse an inch, they're going to take a mile, and that's exactly what this horse has done in each of his past 2 starts, in this race as well as the Pennine Ridge. Hats off to Brian Lynch. This was another horse similar to New Money Honey. Maybe Keeneland just is not what they want. Oscar Performance came back and was quite poor in the race at Churchill in the American Turf. Keep in mind, though, he was on the inside, and that was not where you wanted to be on the turf, down on the hedge. That was a rather boggy scenario down there. But again, I will admit I was completely wrong about this horse. I didn't like him coming into this. I didn't think he would get the distance. And I also didn't think they would go 49-2. I kind of figured they would go a little bit faster than that. But hey, you know what? Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. We were wrong there. Let's move on to tomorrow's races. And again, only going to take a look at 2 of them. We're going to take a look at 2 from Delaware. And let's start off with the Delaware Handicap. We're going to throw up the entry card here. Now, I had forgot to save my own value line in my computer last night, but I have it written in my PPs. So that's why you're looking at the morning line on the far right side, and I'm going to tell you what I have as far as value line is concerned. It's only a field of 6, and right in post position order. The 1, Miss Mo Kelly, on the morning line is 15-1. I made her 32-1. The 2, Martini Glass, morning line 8-1. I made her 24-1. The 3 is Weep No More, morning line 6-1. I made her 32-1. The 4, Line of Best Fit, morning line 12-1. I made her 24-1. The 5, Songbird, morning line 1-5. She might be the first 1-9 shot I've ever given out. I gave her an 85% chance of winning this race. That translates to 1-9 odds. And the number 6 is Hone In, morning line 15-1. I made her 99-1. There is no surprise in here. I don't even know why I went as far as to say I'm going to give you the most likely winner, because it's really just a stupid statement. Let's take a look. This is her return to the races, Songbird, in the Ogden Phipps at Belmont Park. This is probably a horse that wasn't, let's say, fully cranked. She might have been 80, 85%. And you see right now, Mike Smith, there is not any point in this race where he is concerned. Maybe I was a little bit more concerned briefly, but you know what? You look at this now. This is hands and heels. He never really asked her to run, and she lengthens at the end from paid-up subscriber. Songbird, I'm not breaking any news here, is strictly the horse to beat. It will be an absolute stunner. An absolute stunner if she does not win this race. I'm going to go out on a limb and say of the past 5 years, if she doesn't win, it will be the most stunning upset of the past 5 years. I know everyone looks at American Pharoah up at the Travers, but there was reasons to think, you know, okay, it's Saratoga, whether or not they really wanted to run there or not. There's going to be other pace in there. There were reasons that you could poke a hole against him. I will be absolutely stunned if this horse does not win the Delaware Handicap tomorrow afternoon. A race that's a little bit more intriguing from a betting standpoint is the race prior to it. It's race number 8. It's the Grade 3 Kent, 1 1/8 on the turf for 3-year-olds. Let's take a look at that field if we could. And again, my morning line, or I'm sorry, the morning line's up there. My value line will go right through along with it. The 1, Zinger, morning line 12-1. I made him 24-1. The 2, Lunaire, morning line 9-2. I made him 3-1. The 3 is Adonis Creed, morning line 6-1. I made him 6-1. The 4 is the Tortoise, morning line 15-1. I made him 6-1. The 5 is Master Plan, morning line 2-1. I made him 6-1. The 6 is Frost Morn, morning line 8-5. I made him 3-1. And the 7 is Hot and Heavy, morning line 15-1. I made him 24-1. Again, for those of you that don't understand or maybe you're new to this, the morning line is what the morning line maker at the racetrack is projecting these horses will go off at. This is not their opinion, and that's the difference of the value line. The value line is what your opinion is, and you should try to be strict and stringent with it, and you should probably try to keep some record of it to find out if it's any good. And if it's not good, you got to go through and you got to work on it and tweak it a little bit. I've gone through and done this enough where I'm quite confident in my morning line, my value line, I should say. I got to stop flipping those around. Morning line and value line, two majorly different things. I think a live long shot, air quotes in here because it's not really a long shot, is the number 2, Lunaire. We're going to take a look at his most recent start at Belmont Park. You're going to look at that flash on the far outside. He's coming from the back right now. He's still second to last. He's got the white stripe on his face. He's going to angle out to the clear. And if you believe the fractions incrementally, he's finishing his final quarter of a mile right now in 21-1. Now, whether you actually believe 21-1 or not, the point is he came home really, really, really fast. And I think he's going to do the exact same thing here tomorrow afternoon, particularly with a horse that I think may be a little bit of a vulnerable favorite just because of Lunaire. The vulnerable favorite, I think, could be Frostmorton. His run here in the Penn Mile, we're going to take a look at, was very, very good. You're going to notice, though, he's still a little bit on the green side. He finishes really well, but, you know, his head's cocked. There's a couple of things that I think he's going to need to work on a little bit. He's a really nice horse. I'm not going to be surprised if he wins. And I think he is the horse to beat in this spot. But at the same time, I think Lunaire is a legitimately talented horse for Tommy Albertrani. And I think going forward, maybe he's one to keep in mind as far as his 3-year-old division is concerned. My pick in the race is Lunaire. I'm going to give you the cold try. This is the way we played it. And you can find all the other stakes previews, in-depth analysis, video.drf.com. I believe Illman and I both cold try 2-6-4 Lunaire over Frostmorton over La Tortuga, the tortoise. It is 12:31, so we're already a little bit late here on the Matt Bernier Show. I want to thank again Dan Tordjman, co-founder of Equestricon. You can head over to equestricon.com, get all of the info, all the deets as far as tickets are concerned and whatnot, and all of the exhibitions and whatnot, what's going to be going on up there. We're going to have some fun, again, August 13th through the 15th. Only those 2 races that we went over, but there are plenty of other races coming up tomorrow afternoon that you're going to want to take a look at, and you can stay tuned to live.drf.com with the news feed for all those goodies. As far as next week is concerned, next week's going to be a little bit wonky because I have a wedding to go to in Connecticut for Friday and Thursday. So this show won't be live on Friday, but we're going to hopefully tape something Wednesday night that will air on Friday. Hopefully it is timely because Friday is opening day up at Saratoga Racecourse. Next week is also opening week at Del Mar, so hopefully we'll have some stakes races. Definitely the opening day races at Saratoga, and hopefully a race or two Saturday, whether they're both at Saratoga or Saratoga and Del Mar as well. So that will be coming on tape delay to you on Friday of next week. Again, thank you to Dan Tordjman. Thank you to the boys in the back. Best of luck this weekend. Try to stay dry if you're in the New York area.